Here we are, and we'll get things going. So, holding. There's the computer. Good. Well, welcome to our band call, Badass Newer Division Managers. And thanks for being on today, guys. This is our second call in the series, but the first call that we have instruction. We've got Kyle Preman. I'll put his video soon to be discussing January program, productivity tips, and financial advice. Very fired up about that. It's crazy. It's been almost a month since SLC. And I know a lot of us have been getting going. And I think it's always valuable to just do a round of, what's new, what's hot. And maybe it's something that we can all learn from, no doubt. So I'd love for us to take maybe 10 minutes right now, if we all get a couple minutes, just to share what's going well or some things in our business. And then we'll move into the actual content of the call and allow for some Q&A afterwards. And thank you, Danny Lewis, for joining us and learning and being a part of us today too. So I'm a firm believer in ladies first. So Shayla, I'll give you the floor if you'd like, but if you don't want that, that's cool too. And then we can go around the horn.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we had our Olean trip last week, which was really great. Yeah, it was a really, really great weekend. We had our leadership event the Saturday and the Sunday, and then we were at Olean on Monday. We did a Vector University. I don't know if you guys do that too, but we did that on the Friday for some of the new DMCs. So that weekend overall was really, really awesome. Super close hitting P banquet. So in Canada, it's 115,000 September through December. I head on a vacation next Thursday, so the goal is to hit that by then. So we're about 23K away, which is awesome. And then we've got 45 set for training this today. So we're hoping for about 23 in today, which is pretty great. Some super solid double-digit new business weeks the last few weeks in a row, over 10K. The week before last was 15K new business, so that was solid. And then just really having our Leadership Academy step up to a great level. And it's been great to see us building in a big way. So yeah, I guess that's my quick update.
Love it. Well, I would love to hear more. Anything you can do to share how you're keeping your pilot above double digits and new. Sounds very profitable and quite a bit of fun as well, getting 40 set for training, sort of like summertime numbers. So fantastic, but feel free to share that on the group, anything you're doing. I love it. And I'm sorry I missed you in Olean. I forgot my passport, but next year, I'm sure they'll overlap. So cool. All right, who wants to go next? Man, Jameson,
I can go.
It's your turn, Jameson. Go. I'm just kidding. All right, good. Who wants to go?
I can go.
Go ahead.
So for me personally, we just started the Olean push this past weekend. It was a great time to be able to catch up with some of my away candidates and talk to them about the vision of the organization. And I haven't been in the office much these past couple weeks. My wedding is 8 days away, so I've been blessed enough to have a lot of assistant managers that know what they're doing and running everything in the office for me. So it's been pretty cool. Yeah, that's positive. They're learning a lot. They're training people, getting people out the door, learning how to get through all the stuff. So I've never had this well of a trained staff this early, so I can't wait for to see what they do over the winter.
It's awesome. Well, congratulations in advance. As long as things go to plan, I'm sure that will be well received. And 8 days away, it's exciting. I can remember back to my wedding 8 years ago. So congrats on that. That's exciting, man. Cool. Good. Who else?
I'll quickly share. So for us, we have our January prep divisional meeting this upcoming Monday with 2 other divisions with Skyway in Chicago. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. I think the number one thing that we're doing the best at right now is I'm the most intentional, and I don't want to mean like aggressive in a negative way, but about collecting PR names from assistant managers and MITs for our January program, because I know that's going to be a major component for us. So I think right now we're like 180. The goal is to get over 700. But considering we've never really done this, like we're like 3 weeks ahead of where we were last year. So that's, I would say, very promising. So, and I don't have 45 set for training. I would freaking love that, but I'm ready to learn. So thanks for letting me squeeze in for the first half an hour.
No doubt. Super cool. I love that we're getting the jump start. That's a huge focus on our Division 2, just getting the jump start on the JN program this year. And that's why we put Kyle Preman first up for this month. Good. Cool. Anybody else want to go? I've got a couple things I think would be valuable to share too at the end, and then we'll introduce Kyle. But
yeah, I could share a little bit. I've been out of the office pretty much until yesterday with the new baby. I'm dressed as Tony Stark today, by the way. I don't normally wear these glasses, so don't judge me.
Happy Halloween.
But anyways, over the last month, we're actually up quite a bit as a division. We've had a couple of 100K plus weeks. Some of that's been new business, but our fair and show program is really taking off. This year, we're going to be in 5 mall kiosks throughout the division. So we're projecting to have a really, really big end of the year. And a lot of our show team is, we have essentially events every single weekend. We have about 4 or 5 events every weekend from now until the Christmas season. And then during the Christmas season, we have the 5 malls. So pretty much every FSM and CSPs that's not a CGC is going to be, having some steady stream of income. So right now we're up on the year a little over 300,000, but I'm projecting that we'll grow by another 200K over last year because of all the additional events. So I think that's pretty positive. And the baby's great.
Cool. Congratulations officially from all of us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, tell Kristen hi for us, and looks super cute out on the photos and social media. I feel like I'm right there snuggling up, so it's great.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Good. Anybody else want to share? And I'll go and we'll bring up Kyle. It's awesome, man. We only have 1 mall kiosk this year, but we got the price down, so it's good vision. Cool. I do want to share. I just had a great DM staff meeting. We also got back from Olean. I was very much reminded by Lloyd Reagan about the importance of recruiting. And so I just set 5 standards for my guys. SLC was phenomenal, and I used a lot of what Brett Wiggins talked about of the strategic anchors and came up with our 5, really getting that divisional identity going. But the 5 things when it came to recruiting that I'm really driving with my guys right now in terms of prepping for Jan program was 50 PRs booked per week, right? And having a system for that and not judging themselves if they didn't get to 50, but just putting in the work to make progress. So if last week was only 20, how do we get to 30 this week, and really starting to drive the active recruiting sources. Number 2 was just having campus activity 2 days a week, figuring out when that is. There's no bad time to go to campus. Sometimes with bad weather and such, it's better if you just stay indoors, but you're still doing campus work with, posting on online job boards and reaching out, sending appreciation emails. Number 3, we talked about social media and the impact of that, getting back to 500 messages directly sent every week. So the goal is 50 messages a day, 5 days a week from the DM, and then every day finding 1 rep on the team that can send out 50 messages through their site as well. And then just using the Google form link to drive those touches. Number 4 is just really thinking about their set for training number. I need to step this up after Shayla talked about 40, but 15 to 20 set per week to guarantee, 5 launch. And then that's the last thing is just 5 launch with the caveat that they're getting 100 plus names collected, just like Danny talked about from each applicant. So I really think that with those layers, that's going to really give us a lot more people, a lot more names, a lot more conviction in the recruiting cycles. And then that's going to lead us into a phenomenal Jan program. So I can post that out on the group chat as well. Danny, I can text that to you if you text me, but those are the main things that we're really driving. And then we can scale those numbers up when we get to the December and Jan program to really bring it forward. But, I look at our division, we're down for the year. And the main reason is the pilot's down in recruiting. And that's really held the division back too. But Olean was a great coming to terms meeting of just saying, hey, 2020 starts now. We can't flip a switch, and let's get back to the fundamentals. And recruiting is always the answer. So pretty fired up about that for sure. So anybody else want to share? We've met that 10-minute cap.
I have nothing to share. It's going to be of major value.
Thank you for the share, buddy. Great share. Love it. All right. Well, Kyle's got plenty to share, so we'll just go with that. Kyle, thank you for your preparation. I know we did a quick call last week about what I wanted to gain from this, and I know we all think that this is a band group for all of us, but as a reminder, I did this for me. So I told Kyle what I really wanted to learn most, and I think he's got some amazing things to share. I'll just, without further ado, say that last year he was the #1 guy when it came. Hey, what's going on, Adam?
Hey.
Hey, man, we have a call, I believe, tomorrow, not today. But let me text you right now because I'm in the middle of a different recording. Is that cool?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for being responsible. I'll talk to you in a sec. Anyway, this year, Kyle was the number one in the vector world when it came to the JAN program, crushed new business, crushed recruiting. And there's clearly something special that he's doing, especially with getting that year started off strong. And I think we all know that as goes January, as goes the momentum for the rest of the year. And we're really fired up to learn. So with that, I'm going to pin your video. Thank you, Kyle, for being on and bringing the goods. And we're fired up to hear from you, man.
Sure. I appreciate it. Can you guys hear me and everything okay?
Good to go.
All right. Beautiful. So I'm gonna jam through a good amount of stuff here, and I think like the first step to January program in general is just having an understanding of like kind of the major metrics and focal points that you have for the campaign. So like a couple general thoughts I'm going to start with before I kind of get into the more specific things. The first thing that you want to think about is like your new business number for January should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 times the number of recruits that you have for the month. That doesn't necessarily mean that your PPR, for new launches is 2 to 3K, because you obviously have candidates and things like that count as new biz as well. But we had 58 recruits, 165 in new last year. Gina, Nappy in our region, 28 recruits, $119,000 in new business. And there's a lot of examples like that I could give you, but those are kind of the two major ones. The other thing is like, buttoning up your training seminar. So you're getting 1,000 to 1,500 plus first weekend. The big advantage of the January program in my mind is it's like, it basically is it dials in your fast start. So realistically, I think one of the reasons our office and divisionally we're so strong in January is we have a really tight first 10-day program, and like January essentially caters essentially to that entirely. So it's basically like, all right, make sure your first 10-day program is big, you nail PRs, and your candidate program is on point. So like, that's pretty much January if I could boil it down to in a simplistic form. All right, how my PR program is going, like pre-December and post December. How's my fast start program looking, and how solid am I, and how am I lining my candidates up to have a big push. So. The other thing that we talk about a lot in the Northeast is that your weeks tend to build, and they should build through the month. Like your first week, second week should be bigger than the first week. Oftentimes we have an opportunity to have the third week be bigger than the second week because our candidate push starts then. And then in some cases, the fourth week can be bigger than the first, dependent upon what your breaks are and things along those lines. But I'm generally trying to kind of beat my first week with my second week and beat my second week with my third week, and finding ways to put that together. So the other thing is, the above average show percentages to the big dance, I think is worth noting. We've had over 50% shows to the big dance, both years. So we call that like the December 26th training seminar. Some of you guys, obviously dependent upon how long your breaks are, might run that seminar like pre-Christmas, like, on the 15th or the 14th or something like that in December. Whatever that first training seminar is that you might have a 2 or 3 week cycle to build into. Like you have to make sure that in some ways, like you as a division manager are communicating to your people that they're like, if people are going to show, they're going to show. Like, it's not like they're interviewing for other jobs or anything like that. There's nothing much else for them to do over the winter break other than like, work here or work at the mall. So, realistically, in my mind, it doesn't matter how long the seminar is. It matters how good your interview is. So last year we had a 52% show to that training seminar, and we had a 51% show the week before. And I had a 50% show with people that we were interviewing like November 17th, like November 18th, November 19th, and then they didn't show up until December 26th. So it does, like, in my mind, like you can't be like, well, those people don't matter. Like, we still get a lot of really solid kids from that. So the first thing I'll start with, I think from a DVM standpoint as well as an office standpoint, is you have to remind yourself and you have to remind all of your leaders on your team why January is worth it. Like, why winter break? And I think people gloss over this a lot, but it's something that I'm really big on, and I really believe a lot in, that the winter break program is just a really special time of year, especially in the Northeast region, but elsewhere nationally. I think it can be a huge opportunity. So what I started talking about this year is the mission of $1 million. So we're going after the national record as a division and as a pilot. $400K for the pilot, $1 million for the division. And I think partially like one of the challenges that we've had recently in in the Northeast and elsewhere is that we talk more about reality than we do about possibility. And, for me, the winter break program is all about preaching that, like that vision and what's possible, and, making sure that people can see something special for themselves for the year of 2020 and how January links into that. And I think talking to new managers about hey, what if $100,000 of new business was the number for you? How do we get to that? I'm going to worry about talking to people about having a shitty seminar or something like that if they actually have a bad seminar. I don't necessarily spend as much time preparing them for what the worst case scenario could be and all that. Why? I just rather they focus their energy and attention on kicking ass and doing all the things that would create $100,000 new business January for them. And then if I do need to have the conversations of hey, this guy had an off first show and this guy, this didn't have, I'll do that later. But I'm not doing any of that now. It's all about what's possible, the vision, and some of the things that I wrote down and I shared with my team at our kickoff was talking about the financial windfall that January can create for people and how crazy that is. It's a $20,000 plus revenue month for many people. As a district manager, I had $40,000 and $50,000 profit months in January. Owen Brown last year, new district manager, he did $90,000 for the summer, had a $52,000 fall, $84K new business January, and $22,000 in commissions. That's what I'm talking about. Brand new manager, just out of nowhere, and he's locked in for life after making 22 grand in a month. He's I'm not going anywhere. So it creates a tremendous amount of momentum for you for the year. It's a chance to put new programs into practice and a trial run for the summer. You have to implement your social media programs. How strong are your AMPR programs? What's your phone jam culture like? What's your PPR programs like? What's your staff looking like for the summer campaign? And I get to have kind of a dress rehearsal for the summer where everything's happening all at once. Moving all my candidates forward, which I'm just really fired up about, to give them an opportunity to watch everything run at an incredibly high level. I run everything in January. There is zero delegation whatsoever. As many of the interviews as I can possibly run for the big dance, as many of the interviews as I can possibly run for the second seminar, third seminar, whatever. I'm running most of it. And it's an opportunity for all of my management candidates to watch me do everything to perfection. And I'm telling them all that. I'm listen, you want to learn how to run an office, get your ass in here for the winter break. And you should follow me around with a pen and a pencil and a piece of paper every day. I'm going to be all in, all out, giddy up, let's go. So watching interviews, training, PCs, PDI, advanced training, AT2, phone jams run to the highest level possible. Seeing the electricity running through the office when people are tripping over each other to drop off order forms. There's an intensity and a fire in the office for January unlike any other time of year. I wouldn't even compare it to the summer, because the people that show up in January, they show up ready to freaking work. They're not here to well, check it out, see how it goes. They're in. It's they show up for a training seminar the day after Christmas. These people want to make money. They want to get after it. They want to get the experience. They want to grow. So I'm holding nothing back. We're challenging them constantly to build momentum into the year. I talk about adding candidates to the Leadership Academy pool. We had 6 assistant managers in the pilot this summer that came from January, that we transitioned from the January program into the summer through calls that we had over the course of the spring. Some of the most talented people that you will ever work with in your life come in over the January campaign. And I believe 100% that there are definitely people that we can recruit in the winter break program and in the January program in a short-term sense that we would never get access to otherwise. Because there's a lot of people that, I don't know if I want to do the knife thing all summer, commit my entire summer to it. I have an internship, I have this. But over the winter break, they're whatever, but for 3 weeks, I can make a couple $1,000s. My friend did well. All right, I'll give it a shot for a couple weeks. What the hell else am I going to do? Sit on the couch and hang out with my mom? They're in, and we recruit people that otherwise we would never have the chance to recruit. I think it's the easiest time of the year to run an office. The talent pool is incredible. I always tell people my favorite week of the entire year is the second week of the year. We have this like magical synergy that we create in the office. January 4th, I can tell you right now, is my favorite day of the year every single year. It's because we have the first seminar that we just launched, and they're out hammering it. They're finishing the second week into their fast start. We launched the second group, which is like all of their baller friends and the best PRs and all that type of stuff in the second seminar that we rip. And then the management candidate contest starts on the 4th. So we have a second and third phone jam that they load up before. So we have like hundreds upon hundreds of demos lined up on the 4th. We sold $35,000 on January 4th last year, which was just like a day from the heavens. And, it's just so much fun. We're trying to do 50K that day, this year, which is going to be a lot of fun. The other thing I think about for January is that it can set the bar for your summer. I tell management candidates and managers in general, the biggest week that you have in January, you typically won't go below during your gold period in the summer. It's really hard to have like a 30K week in January after you like put it together from nothing and just create a market from basically zero and people aren't even looking for work. And then you have a 30K week, the second week of the year. And then like you're recruiting for like 5 straight weeks in May, and, like building this team. And then like, I'll probably do 15 that week. Like there's like people just think differently about their summer depending upon what they do in January. So if you can push that bar and push that ceiling for them in terms of like a big week and what a big week is. I remember Aaron Winter dropping like a $50,000 week at a 59K new business week the second week of January 2 years ago. Changed his entire like thinking about the business. He has a 25K week now in the summer. He thinks that sucks. Whereas in the past, he was like, 25, I killed it. And I just think it gets your districts thinking bigger when you can push things to a higher level. So I talk to them about like, hey, you have a 20K week in January. That means you're putting yourself on pace for at least a 250K summer. A 30K week, means you're on pace for a 350K summer. You have a 50K week, you're doing $500,000 new business in the summer because you're gonna have at least like 5-6 weeks where you're over 50K, for the summer, which is cool. And then the other thing is like the fun of growing yourself as a leader. We have some unique challenges in the Northeast when it comes to the winter break program. Sometimes people think we just like go on campus and magically people come into the office. But I remember some of the craziest freaking stories of all time that I've had to work through. And I tell people like I've had Januaries where we had an ice storm in New Hampshire where we got basically like a foot of ice on pretty much everything. Like I couldn't even get into my car, like chiseled the car door, to get into the car. We lost power for a week and a half, throughout basically half of the state. I was running interviews in Panera because they had a generator and internet. So my entire receptionist team was like sitting in Panera, setting up interviews, and we were running one-on-one interviews with people as they came into Panera. I ran my team meetings via candlelight in a frozen office. It was awesome. And that January at 110K January. 2 feet of snow we got 1 year for the big dance on the day of the big dance, and then another 2 feet of snow the first day of the second seminar. We had a 30% show to the big dance, a 100% launch, 100% launch for the second seminar, 112K January. I totaled my car one time, which was great. I hit black ice and off the highway. It was super. I was unscathed, but my car was not. So there's going to be challenging moments. There's going to be challenging days. But that's what we live for. That's what challenges you to grow. That's what makes you a better manager. What makes you a better leader. But what I always tell people is you stay in it. You do the right things consistently through the entire time that you're responsible for leading your team and leading your office. One number is always going to work out. And that's like a theme that we drive all the way through November, December, January. Do the right things happen. One number will always work itself out. Now, the number you can influence the most, obviously, right now, and matters the most and alleviates a lot of your problems is your number set for the big dance and your big training seminar. So that's what we're focusing most of our attention on right now. How many PRs and CRs can you get set for that training seminar? We call them growth recruits, but how many growth recruits? Social media, PRs, and campus. The rest of it, I don't really care because we don't really control that. But the others are within our sphere of influence. So that number set changes a lot. You have 250 people scheduled for training. You're going to have a good January. You have a 20% show or something like that. It's oh no, that sucks. I only had 50 in. What if you had a 50% show, bro? Like, what do you do with 125 in day one of training? Like, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'll take that problem. Let's go. Maybe it's your show percentage, where to the training seminar, like Owen Brown last year. Like he's in Upper Westchester. It's a tough recruiting territory. So he was lights out with recruiting. I talked to him about his way to win and how he could win. And he had a 57% show to the first training seminar. He had an 83% show to the second seminar. So 12 out of 14 show to the second seminar, launched all 12 and ended up having an $84,000 month. It could be your launch percentage. The pilot office, we launched 84% for January last year. Maybe it's your PPR because you're nasty at PPR, $2,500 to $4,000 plus PPR, thinking about that. Maybe it's your PRs. Maybe it's your conversion of your AM PRs. Maybe it's your campus. Maybe it's the mailers. Owen Brown had $40,000 worth of business created from his mailer recruits last year. Glad we sent the 3,000 mailers. The pilot had like $11.45, and I sent 4 times as many mailers as he did. So, some years it's crazy. I remember there was a year John Wasserman had $120,000 worth of business created from the mailers that he sent. And there's also been years that it's been zero. So, send the freaking mailers. Maybe that's the thing that works out. It could be your second seminar. It could be your third seminar. Last year, Greg Cawthorn had a $20,000 fast starter in his 4th trading seminar. It was a 2-person training, and the kid dropped 20 G's in his fast start. Maybe it's your efficiency on the front end. Maybe it's the last 10 days of recruiting. But you do the right things, like one number will work itself out. And if one number works out, you're going to have a good January. You crush 2 or 3 of those numbers, you have a breakout January. So obviously we're working hard to influence all of them, but you do the right things. One always works itself out, and your January is going to be a win. So transitioning in, from the why January stuff, I wanted to talk a little bit about December recruiting. So there's 2 sections of recruiting that we have. And one is before the big training seminar that we run on December 26th, which, like I said, for many of you guys, it could be maybe your training seminar is the pre-Christmas or whatever that big one is that you channel a lot of your people into. That training seminar, there's pre-big dance and then there's post-big dance, recruiting opportunities. So the first one is the PR system and program that we're executing and implementing. So starting November 24th in the pilot office, our mission is 10 growth recruits scheduled per day for interviews. I don't care if they're PRs, CRs, social media, whatever, but we're scheduling at least 10 for interviews, not sending a certain number of messages. I don't give a shit what the message, they send 10 messages, they send 15 messages, who cares? They need to schedule 10. Period. That's it. So schedule 10 growth recruits per day, starting on the 24th. And then we crank that up December 9th. We elevate that to 20 per day. So a lot of that is stemming from our AM and candidate PRs, which is something that we've been very, very aggressive with over the last couple of years. We're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 to 2,000 leads that are original leads, new leads from our management candidates. Total, it'll probably be more like 3,000 because I'm going to pull their lists, that they put together in the summers and their original list out. So we'll have all of those, which most of them are 100, 150, 200 for a large majority of them. But I had them all put together, 50. That's an assignment before we go to Olean, which for us is in 2 weeks. We do Olean and winter break kickoff at the same time, so it's a little later than most. But the assignment for them was to have 50 as a minimum. And then the people that did it in the past, and I have people that are candidates for 4 or 5 years now. Those guys, I had them take create an Instagram list for social media from the people that they did Facebook Jumpstart with this year. So that's how they're going to drive PRs, and they have 300-400 of those, and they're going to be pretty aggressive with that. I still have them make the list of 50, but we probably reached out to this list of 50 for them maybe 35 times at this point, so that they're not generally as productive. But we'll see if we can get 1 or 2 from each one of those guys. But AM and candidate PRs, at least 50, and then we'll use their list from their original PR list to expand that. Starting December 5th is when we're going to start doing the AM and candidate 3-way texts. Dane Espegard's program is pretty much what we used last year. It was in the SLC document. We changed basically nothing. The only difference was he was doing like 500 and we did 1,500 last year. So that was like the difference. So that's why we're starting on December 5th. Most of my guys are starting December 9th. We just won't have time to get through all of them if we don't start a little earlier. I think the sweet spot for us is probably December 9th, which is about like 3 weeks before we're going to run the training seminar. The next layer of that December recruiting juggernaut is the social media program. We're doing social media Sundays where we're going to do a status post, every Sunday. That is going to start the weekend of Thanksgiving. And, I'm getting stuff from Trey Ketchum, who is the guy with the plan for social media. So I'm just going to steal most of the stuff he did over the summer and use those. And then at the same time, people are going to send 50 direct messages on Sunday. Newer candidates, I'm going to have them do one additional shift per week beyond that. So everybody does Sunday and then 50 messages, and then they do one additional shift per week within their own network. So I'm basically going to try to get them to send about 300-ish, 250 to 300 individual messages within their own network, which we found is a lot more productive than them doing Facebook Jumpstart. And then experienced candidates are going to do 2 additional shifts and the Instagram direct messages with people that they jump started this past summer, as well as doing some jumpstart work that we're gonna direct them on as it gets closer. The third program that we're implementing is old PR lists. So anybody that is like a sharp kid from a solid network, we just go through our entire launch list from this past summer as well as the previous January of 2019. And anybody who's sharp or has a solid network or whatever, we're just pulling their list and we're going to send hey, we might have reached out to you before, but we do have openings over the winter break, and your friend Stevie did pretty well with us. He's more than welcome back as well, but we'd be happy to interview and give priority to the interview process, yada yada, that kind of message. So we're going to send a solid 5,000 to 10,000 of those as well. So however many we have, that's how many we're going to send. I don't know the exact number, but we have something like. D, how many do we have like for old lists? 5,000 something. Yeah, 5,000 something. It's probably somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 in that ballpark. But however many we have, we'll send all those. So we're starting those old lists. We start those November 25th, and we do those daily for about 2 hours. And then campus activity is the third major option. We're doing a holiday help as we're testing no pay rate for holiday help just to see if that pulls better on campus. We haven't gone no pay rate in a long time, so we'll see. And then we added the pay rate for the winter break work ones that we're going to do. So we have 2 separate posters and in hands. Holiday help from November 5th to November 26th. We have our cylinder school days are November 29th and November 19th and 20th, rather. Sorry. So those are like our major state schools where we just kind of like descend on UConn. So if you have like one of those like big schools that 20, 30,000 plus students, we get the whole division together and hit that hard. And then we have like 2 other state schools that are like big schools that we're going to do on the 20th. So 19th is UConn, about 28,000 students, and then we have like two schools, Southern and Eastern, which are at different spots in the state. So we send half the group to one, half the group to the other, and there's about 10,000 students at each one of those schools. Where we'll put out about 5,000 in hands, 500 posters at UConn, and then about the same equivalent between the 2 schools on the other major A days when we go. And then winter break work is we're going to do post Thanksgiving, and the major days for that, December 4th through December 8th, are the days where we're hammering those major schools. So that's like kind of the major plans for winter break. And then like after December 8th, like I said, December 9th, it's just straight PRs and social media from that point onward. And we're scheduling 20 plus growth recruits per day, come hell or high water for that last stretch. So for the January program, when it comes to recruiting, it's about putting together multiple seminars. So it's better to launch like 10, 10, and 10 than it is to launch, 25, 4, and 4, for like, your first 3 seminars. So I always tell people, double digits for your first 3 seminars, you're going to have a monster training and you're going to have a monster January. So that's one of the big focuses. So you can't like lose track of the second seminar, the third seminar, and all of that. I emailed you guys like all the calendars and events and things like that, and a lot more detailed stuff that you can come through when you want to. I'm not going to like run through handouts. You guys are division managers, so you should obviously be able to figure those out, no problem. But it's just a reminder, second and third seminar are big. Those are all about the PR program and just driving your PR program to the highest level. So there's no like special secret sauce. It's just like, we go old school PRs, like going hard. So just you have your callers to be able to handle it. On the second seminar, for the Northeast region guys and the Central region guys, if you have management candidates that are, kind of helping you in the first training seminar, just remember that they're not available in the second seminar, because they're out selling for the candidate push on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So if you would like to drop the ball horribly for your third seminar, don't plan on having helpers and receptionists to call those PRs for you. If you would like to crush it, we're having at least 2 to 3 hired paid helpers that are going to be, effectively trained before then, ready to go. They're going to help for the big dance calls, but they're also going to be very heavily leaned on for the second and third seminar to build those as well. So the way we're doing the callers, we're going to hold probably about 3,000 names, from the first training seminar. We're doing 1,500 on the Saturday and 1,500 on the Sunday. I have basically 3 lists that we're gonna focus on. So it's like the A, B, and C list. The C list is like my back row guys that like, I'm not gonna, we're not gonna send through office conveyor or do a heads up text or anything. We're just gonna straight TTS those. We're doing that right in the middle of the training seminar. So immediately once we get them, they're going back in the room, getting scrubbed, and then sent to TTS right away. The B list would be like sharp candidates that are kind of the B team. We're going to call those on Saturday after sending an interest text via office conveyor, and we'll probably have 10 to 15 callers that they'll be able to handle that mess. And then the A list is like my private school studs, like front row guys that we're going to wait until Sunday to give them their first full day of selling without like blowing them up on their phones. And we're going to try to do a little bit more like, I guess, honed in focus on their lists with the managers calling and doing 3-way texts and whatnot at AT. So that's the recruiting stuff. The productivity stuff, like I said, is mainly your Fast Start program. And as a couple of key focuses, I can run through real quick. Change your expectations of what a representative can do or sell. Just remember they're doing 5 demos in a day, not 5 demos in a week. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that managers make going into January as it relates to productivity is they take their fall mentality into January. And what you have to do is you have to take your summer mentality and actually whatever 1.5 times what you would expect in the summer, that's what I expect in January. So I actually expect higher productivity, higher number numbers, higher effort in January because it's a much more condensed time frame that they're working, and they're more willing to work. So in my mind, we have higher caliber applicants. We have higher a condensed time frame for them to work, and they're more willing to. So in a lot of ways, your expectations should be higher than the summer for their productivity and to challenge them to really working hard. I always tell people training pop comes from a lot of demos. Overall PPR comes from retention. So you have to fight over the winter break program to make sure nobody quits before advanced training. Like nobody's allowed to quit before AT. Another reminder for productivity in January is it's individual before the team. Our goals are secondary to their goals. Listen, if you love the idea of the team and being in a championship organization and a top performer, awesome. If you want to contribute to the team at this point, the best way they can do that is to be the best individual performer that they can possibly be. be the Michael Jordan, LeBron James, the Tom Brady of our organization, because those individual performers significantly improve the quality of the team around you. Your individual success inspires team success, and that's the best way you can contribute right now. Be 100% selfish in January. I want you to get what you need out of it first, and then worry about how that contributes to the team later. And then another key idea is to target one person from each one of your major groups to go big for January. One representative doing $15,000 to $25,000 for the month changes the entire month. So, like, who's your CSP that can go huge, or who would be willing to? A lot of the CSPs just take the whole month of January off because they're like, "Oh, I worked so hard over the mall season." It's like you are a wimp. Like you're just a straight wimp. Like, you need a whole month off. Take a week off, bro. But like, sell 15K for the other 4 or 5 weeks. Like, what the hell are you doing? If you would like to start a CSP's year off horribly, like, have them do like next to nothing in January. It's hard for them to see growing their year unless they're ahead in January. People like look at that, in their mind. So a lot of the conversations I'm having with my CSP is just, hey, make sure you manage your time well and manage your health well over the mall season, so you don't like burn yourself out and can't do anything for the beginning portion of the year. So I'd rather they take 1 or 2 less mall shifts and then still be on and ready to go in January than like kill themselves and like take a whole month off. So one CSP doing 15 to 25,000. If you can get a couple, great. One candidate, like, who's your like lead dog candidate? We had 2 management candidates last year that sold over 20K for the month. So I talked to the management candidates about winning January, not winning the trip. And there's a massive difference. So I know some regions do like, incentive trips and things like that. So for candidates, it's about winning January, not winning the trip. Because there's a scenario they can get credit for Olean push. They can get credit for their PRs. They do all this stuff. And then it's like, for us, it could be like, they get $1,000 worth of credit for Olean push. They get like, 3 PRs. So they get $3,000 worth of credit for that. And then they got to sell 6K between the 4th and the 16th to win the trip. So they sell $2,000, make $600 over the winter break, and then spend the $600 to go to the trip. So you made no money and went on a trip for your winter break. That's awesome. Like, so you won the trip, congratulations, but you didn't win January. Like, how much did you grow? How much did you move forward? What I want to see is you sell $20,000 the month, make $6,000, go on the trip, celebrate, put yourself in a much better spot as a management candidate for next year and get ready to kick ass as a branch. Like, that's winning January. So let's focus on the plan to do that, so they don't just like win the trip and stop. Then you have your first seminar group, right? I do a group holdback and get a whole bunch of people going after 6K, but like in one person in like the big dance, like, get to 15 to 25K, and then you got one person in the second seminar. So those are some like key thoughts when it comes to like productivity. And the things I'm focusing on to drive their success, like just explosion out of training. I'm personally focusing a tremendous amount of attention on the top 10 to 20 representatives in the training seminar. My mission is to run the perfect seminar. So I'm reviewing my training notes like constantly for like the whole month leading up to it. And this training seminar has been like a masterpiece for the last like 2 or 3 years that I've run it. Like, absolute perfection. So cutting clinics in the morning, everything set up beforehand, AMs prepped, role play partners set up right, like, seating arrangements for the middle 3 rows, like, get everybody in my line of vision, like all the things that I know to do. That sometimes I'm kind of like, I'm going to kill this thing. Selling a $3,000 fast start publicly, driving a 10K fast start privately. So like, that's kind of the MO for me. Like, it's like the whole group's going to do $3,000 for their first 10 days. And then like you're my boys and girls, like, let's go. We're going to rally and we're going to get after doing 10K plus for your fast start. Prepping the stop buys, prepping the management candidates for sharing concepts that you want shared the right way. Then PDI, you just got to be a person on a mission when it comes to PDI. Every call is about creating more presentations. I do as much PDI as humanly possible, and I do all of it for the top representatives. I just treat January like a long push period. So it's like a push week, and you're constantly promoting what's hot, what people are selling, creating belief, pace, tempo, atmosphere, expectations, setting the tone for 2020. The other thing I put down here for productivity is handling New Year's properly. You have to sell the value of the New Year's, in training and how awesome of a time of year it is for people to sell. We have a New Year's special that we do every year. That's like, it's just basically the B block specials where we promote the hell out of it. Like, New Year's special, it's amazing. And like, people get super fired up to to do those. But we have a grand day contest, or a 5 demo contest, on New Year's and even New Year's Day. And then you PC every representative before New Year's and, for the month, and then get everybody back to a kind of a snapback meeting on January 2nd or January 3rd. January 2nd, preferably, is when we run the meeting. We ran it around like noontime last year. But that meeting's, we called it Advanced Training 2 to get everybody back as part of their training. And it was kind of like a checkpoint to get everybody set up for the second portion of the year. But I actually think handling New Year's properly, a big part of it is crushing your first, your first 3 days of sales. Because there's 2 scenarios that happen. It's kind of like 4th of July or Memorial Day weekend or something like that. You launch people into that weekend. And if they nail it, right, they go hang out with their buddies and have a great time. And the conversation goes one of 2 ways. Yo, dude, where you been? Like, how you been doing? Like, oh, dude, I just started this new job, right? Oh, what's like new job? What do you mean? Like, so there's 2 ways that goes. Like, how's it going? Oh, dude, it's been sick. Like I already sold $4,000. Like, I made $800. Did you get a call yet? Come in for the freaking interview, donkey. Like, you should go. Like, it's going to be awesome. We could sell together. Or it's like, yeah, I haven't really been doing that well. Like, they're like, what the hell are you working for? You should just quit. Like, and then they quit. So, a large portion of it is just making sure they kick ass in their first 3 days, but like having that PC and having that, that bounce back. And anybody that has plans, especially sharp people, I always just make a rule, I'll pull them aside one-on-one because they start freaking out sometimes, and you can see it in training as I'm promoting New Year's and how awesome of a time of year it is to sell. And they're just like, oh no, so that guy I grab, hey, listen, I know you might have plans, over New Year's and everything like that. That's cool. Part of the job is its flexibility and how awesome it is. But the rule is, like, if you're going away for New Year's and we hired you because we expected you to work during one of the busiest times of year possible for the business, the rule is you can go away, but you got to make sure you have at least 4 demos lined up, for the second by the time that you get back. And you got to be at $2,000 in sales before you go. So that's my rule. Punch your ticket, 2K and 4 demos. Fair deal, dude. They're like, all right. And then I had people like battling, to get to $2,000 before New Year's and then, get back with 4 demos. It's also helpful to identify your local representatives for the spring. I try to run as many of those PCs personally as I can, or my PSM will, so that we can lock them in. They should be in all the holdbacks and, just assume a long-term relationship with those people. And making sure that candidates, are locked in for their push. I don't know if I have time, but I sent like the 100% candidates, winning the trip contest and all that type of stuff. So the basics there are just PC all of them, over Thanksgiving break if it's possible. And then I PC them again when they get back, just make sure that their schedule is clear and they know exactly what they're doing for management work, as well as for sales work. And it's about winning January, not just winning the trip. They need to have 100 to 200 plus numbers by the 1st. And then their phone jam is the 2nd and 3rd. And then they're out selling basically the 4th through the 16th, to get it going. So, other than that, yeah, the candidate plan's, pretty straightforward. So, anything you guys want me to expand on there before I kind of transition into the financial tips and that fun jazz?
I'm going to give you a round of applause just because I learned everybody's on mute, but you can hear the volume from me. That was fantastic. And I feel like, screaming right now about how pumped I am. You got me jazzed. I feel like I'm a brand new recruit and day 1 of training with you right now as manager. And I'm ready to light on fire. You've really stretched my capacity for thought process and learning. And it's the things that we already know that are possible, but just understanding that this is a season that we create. Just like summer, there's nothing different between summer and non-summer other than the fact that we work harder and we put more intensity into it. The same thing goes for Jan program. And I love that you think Jan program is actually cooler than summer. You get more profitability out of a shorter period of time. And I love that you challenge people and even yourself and your managers to have that level of expectation that it should be more intense than the summer. And I think one of my big takeaways was just the fact that, like, dude, there's nothing else to compete with us, right? Because at that point, most of the holiday hours and help are gone. It's after the Christmas season, and we don't have the internships or the foreign exchange or the graduations or any of the crap we deal with in the summer. We don't have to deal with that during the Jan program. So I just love that. And as goes January, I think really as goes your year. So phenomenal stuff. I just want to make sure you got that recognition right at the end. That was awesome. And I'm sure you could go for another 30 minutes to an hour to keep bringing it forward. Thank you.
I can go for another 3.5 hours if you want.
It'd be worth it. We'll have a series of recordings, so we'll put those together. But yeah, let's open it up. I think that'd be great. Anybody got questions?
So I got a couple questions for you, Kyle. Thank you so much for the brain dump. Appreciate it.
Sure.
So 2 questions. One, on the old PR list from the past year, you don't reach out to reps prior to, you just kind of blitz them?
Yeah, what we do is we send 50. We send them in blocks of 50. We only do 50 per day, so we're not like blowing some kids' list up. So like you have 475. I'm not like sending 475 text messages to their friends like all in one day. So we cycle through them and like we put them on a spreadsheet, and then just delete the ones that like once we've gone through that group. It's going to be a little quicker now that we have Office Conveyor, which I'm really fired up about because last year that took a tremendous amount of man hours. And I had calluses on my thumbs from the number of text messages that I sent last year. It was painful. My PSM's really excited about that too. She's like, yes, Office Conveyor. It's the best invention ever. So
you can get old names that were done from the summer. Still, you would get send those again through Office Conveyor. To my knowledge, yeah. I'm working with Fred on having them being sent from a different phone number. You can definitely send it again. The only challenge that we may run into is like the original message might still be there if you do it through Office Conveyor. I'm trying to find an answer from him, and I've been beating him over the head for the last couple of weeks to see if like we can flip that number so it comes from a different phone number. If it doesn't, like there's ways we can do it again. Hey, we might have reached out to you over the summer. You probably can see that, but like, so I don't really care either way. It's going to save me a ton of time. And honestly, I don't think it matters tremendously, but. Great. And then the second question was for the backup seminar callers. It's a great point to mention about just being prepared for your backups because that's where we always drop the ball. You said you're going to try to train them the week before during the big dance, basically. So they're going to kind of be an observer all MITs, or are you training them even before then?
I'm training them before then. We have a management prep on the 20th and 21st. Part of that management prep is actually training PR calling. So I'm going to have them show up for that section of the management prep. So they'll be there for so December 20th or the 21st. Some people are doing it on December 20th. It's a Friday, whatever that Friday is. So they're like, we send out feelers. So we're trying to get some of our summer receptionists back. The advantage of the pilot, I mean, we have our whole AM staff is like nasty at calling PRs. So like I can have them do it and I'm just going to hold a couple people in the pilot back, but that's not going to work for like my district offices because they don't have that staff. So I want them to hire at least 2 people. If they had receptionists from the summer, that'll be the first option. And then you can send out kind of a feeler text, like right around Olean or like, right around Thanksgiving, like, hey, happy holidays. Like, I have some openings in the office over the winter break. If you want to earn an extra, like, $200 to $500 over the break, like, for 4 or 5 days worth of work, here are the times that I need the most help. It's December 28th, 29th, and 30th, January 4th, 5th, and 6th, and, 12 to 5, so you would have like 5 hours a day. Be times 6 days would be 30 hours times like $12 or whatever the hell that would be, like $400. So I just need you to reach out to some some people that are actually interested in scheduling interviews. We just need some manpower to schedule the interviews. Like it's like a text message like that you would send like cool people that like would be able to handle the calls.
Awesome.
That's what we did in the past.
That really helps a lot.
Sure.
And you said that so you broke down your ways of calling from Saturday. You send all your C list on training, and then B list you're going to do Office Conveyor after, and then your A list you mentioned the next day, which makes perfect sense. But so you say you're going to try to do 3-way texting with them or is it traditional?
We're going to do three-way texting with some of those guys in AT if it's possible. We didn't do any three-way texting from the training seminar last year, so I still have to figure out how we would do that. It's not like our number one priority. The three-way texting mostly for us is just with our AM candidates and people that are more tied in. I think it's hard to do three-way texting with like new people because it's like weird and not natural for them. So I think we're probably going to do office conveyor for the most part, but if we can get some of the reps to send out texts like ahead of time, like feeler texts and things like that, we will.
So you're launching on that on Saturday and then doing AT1 on Sunday, like
AT1 on Monday.
Day. Monday. Okay. All right. Gotcha. Yeah. So we'll check on that. Okay. And then the last question I had was, when are you meeting with your pilot staff? When do you have dates and benchmarks set to meet with them to go over the plan? I'm sure you already started, but can you run me through your next couple?
I do one-on-one PCs with all of the management candidates, including my staff, so they know what's going on. So we do one PC when they're back home over winter break, and then we do another one the second that they get home, so we can go over all their individual schedules. And then we have the official staff meeting and kickoff staff meeting. We're doing on the 21st. So I had the prep on the 20th, and then I had my pilot staff come back on the 21st, so we can go over the specific pilot plan and exactly what they're going to do.
And that's on the 21st of December?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whatever that Saturday is.
How long is that meeting?
2 hours, 2.5 hours. Cool. It's like 10 to 12:30.
That's great.
I think I sent you guys the notes for it too, but if I didn't, I can.
Awesome.
Mostly it's just about how to manage the training seminar and how to not kill candidates and who's responsible for what. And then we prep them for, what they should say to the training group. And I'm like, hey, introduce these guys, introduce yourself, give them one tip. And then the thing that you like the most about the business. We're going to have 30 people. So I can't I'm gonna be I can't have all of you share. Maybe I'll have some of you guys share on the first day, some of you guys share on the second day, some of you guys share on the third day. But I just don't want them all to be I love the team. It's awesome. I love the team. It's awesome. I love the team. It's awesome. So Kyle's the best. Listen to Kyle. For 30 people in a row would probably be not positive. So we got to prep them for other things that they can say and, how they can relate. And then I let my PSM and my two sales managers talk a little bit longer. They do kind of their own a little intro and, they go a little bit more in depth about how to kick ass at the job, and they give 2 or 3 tips.
Cool. That's great. Great questions, buddy. Thanks for asking. Good. Anybody else have any questions? We got a couple minutes left.
I'm sorry, one more question. I'm going to chime in here. So you sent out a document with stuff, or was that in the email thread, or did I not catch that?
I sent it in the band email thread. I sent 1 million documents.
Okay, I found it. I was in the wrong email.
Yep. Cool.
I sent you our entire plan for everything. So
the goods, the gold.
Yep.
Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you very much, Kyle. We appreciate it. Awesome stuff.
Of course.
And that was fantastic.